Well, happy Friday, Facebook fam, and YouTube, of course. Make these videos for YouTube mainly. And the reality of what's going on right now in the markets is so interesting and intriguing. We'll go into some of it. I do want to answer this question. So last Friday, the 12th, I sent myself an email saying, do this video. And then yesterday, a friend of mine, Tina, reached out to me and asked me this exact same question. She's wanting to buy an investment property by doing a cash out refinance. A lot of people are doing this right now. And some people would say, hey, this is not a good sign. We're leveraging property to buy more property. That would be like saying, hey, we're leveraging, something to go buy itself, more of itself. So if someone like, for example, was leveraging Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin or whatever, there's lots of different ways you could do it. Leveraging stock to buy more stock. And so some people don't like that concept. And I think in a gross scenario, in a very macro scenario where lots and lots of people are doing it, you could say, hey, that's bubblicious. Maybe we don't want to see that. But on an individual case-by-case basis, I'll give you the straightforward way to approach and look at it, in my opinion. And then we'll go into a little more detail, and then we'll look at all the craziness that's going on in the market. So that's what's going on in the first video today. Probably going to be a 2-video day today. So first of all, if you're going to do a cash out to get cash to buy an investment property, the first consideration, in my opinion, is, are you getting the cash out to just have the down payment on that investment property? Or are you getting the cash out to then go be able to buy that investment property in cash? So if you're able to get cash out of your primary residence, and it is more beneficial, I'm not a CPA or tax advisor, check with your CPA or tax advisor, but to my understanding, it's more beneficial to have your debt on your primary residence than it is to have it on an investment property. I know for sure the financing is better. So whatever rate you could get for buying a home that's an investment property, you're going to get a better rate doing a cash out refi on your primary residence. That's for sure. I can guarantee you that. So you get better financing, potentially better tax advantages, depending on how your tax structures are set up. And so it does make sense to do it. But if you're just using it to get the down payment, now we're leveraging one property to go and leverage another one. I'm not a huge fan of that. And it has nothing to do with the market. I don't like that in general. Even though I have personally done it myself, it was uncomfortable. I would think if you have the ability to take cash out right now, and everybody who owns real estate in San Diego, hallelujah, we are up huge, right? Isn't that? Big time. It's a good thing. So what do you do with it? A lot of people are trying to figure that out. Hey, my house has gone up in value, but how do I benefit from it? And this is potentially one of the ways. A lot of the savvy people I know are doing and saying, you know what? Let me go ahead and take the cash out of my primary residence and buy a property in Oklahoma or Iowa or Ohio or Missouri free and clear. Buy it free and clear. And it can make a lot of sense to do that. Now, here's a rule of thumb. If you want to do like a quick calc on this, every $100,000 that you borrow will approximately cost you $500 a month. It won't change your taxes or your insurance on your monthly mortgage payment that you have now. That will remain the same. However, if you have to take a higher interest rate to do your cash out, then you have to factor that in too. How much is my principal and interest payment changing? And that's your cost for your capital. So if your payment goes up $600 a month, but you can buy a place free and clear that rents for $1,200 a month, that's a good deal. Right? Because now you also, not only do you have that $600 a month cash flow, but you also have some more tax advantages with that property. So it does make sense. I don't like the leverage to leverage play, just in general, not just at this stage, but in general. For the leverage to buy cash, I do like that. Now, some people are going, wait a minute, you're a finance guy. Don't you believe in financing everything all the time and leverage OPM and all that stuff? Other people's money, not opium. I do to an extent, but also I like the idea of having a cash on cash gain that isn't overly levered. Because see, if you take the cash out, for example, you took that 100,000 out, you could go buy 4 different places and mortgage them all to the hilt. And then you have a whole bunch of different loans and a whole bunch of different debt. And that's one way. If you really want to be aggressive, you could do that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't. Just for people who have the stomach. I don't have that stomach. I'm more conservative than that. And people have challenged me on that lately because of my huge position in Bitcoin. I'm telling you, the Bitcoin bet is very conservative. It's very, very conservative. It's probably the biggest no-brainer I've ever seen. Other than potentially buying real estate in El Salvador, which I haven't had time to fully vet yet, but I do have some contacts I'm going to be reaching out to. And I do expect by the end of 2022 to own property in El Salvador. I'm telling you right now, listen, they always say, hey, if you really want to see appreciation in real estate, buy in the bad neighborhoods and wait. Just look how well that's worked out across the country. Here in Southern California even, it's worked out extremely well for a lot of people. Over time, it works. So I'm taking that approach. El Salvador, considered to be one of the most dangerous, poorest nations in the world, also happens to be sitting on a huge energy cache. And they're turning that energy into money via mining Bitcoin. And it's just incredible, the stuff that's going on there and what they're already doing at the mine. And they're only like 4 or 5 months into it. So there's a lot of stuff there. Okay. So that's my quick answer to that question. I can give you a detailed analysis if you want to run into some numbers and go through, hey, how does this work if I take cash out? How do I buy something? Can I do the levered thing? Can I do the cash thing? Just reach out to me. NMLS 155010, call, text, email me, and we'll go through it all for you. All right. Okay. Let's get to the news. Let's take a look at some of this stuff. There's just so much going on. I don't even know where to begin, but I'm going to show you a few things here that I feel like you should know. We did see Bitcoin take a hit yesterday, dropped under 60,000, out 58,000. What was that? Let's see. This is what it was. Lawmakers introduced bipartisan bill to address crypto tax reporting requirement. Listen, all of the legislation around Bitcoin, all of the SEC guidance, all of the regulation, all of it is good. It's absolutely necessary. You are not going to see banks buying Bitcoin until all that is done and flushed out. They need the green light from the regulators. They're not going to get until all this stuff is flushed out. So this is a step in the right direction. It is good. Trust me. Oil has been getting hit. Oil's been getting hit really hard, and we need to listen to oil here. We need to listen to oil here. You notice the headline is oil drops below 80 on European COVID concerns, as there's some countries that have locked down again. Remember, I warned you that would happen potentially around the holidays. I don't think it will here because the political pressure is too great. I don't think it's going to happen here during the holidays, but potentially after the holidays, look for possible lockdowns here. I told you they were going to do it. That's what they want. It's all about control. $76 for oil. We got to listen to Oil Hill. Oil is signaling to us problems. Oil is a great barometer for what's going on in the economy. If oil is doing really well, the global economy is doing well, or there's supply issues. So you just have to look, it's one or the other. Obviously, there's been a decrease in supply since we've stopped producing a lot here locally. Anyway, OPEC refused to flood the market with supply upon request of this administration. So, hey, we don't have an oversupply. It's not supply. So if we know it's not supply, then we've got to really pay attention to that. This is something we got to really keep an eye on. Oil right here to see what happens next. And gold actually got up to 1855. Wow. That's the highest I've seen in a long time. It's been such a slow ride for gold. Bitcoin, we looked at that. U.S. market's still doing really well. Look at the NASDAQ running today. Oh, one thing I wanted to show you was Ethereum. There's a lot of people flipping right now. I think a lot of the selling in Bitcoin, people are flying to Ethereum. Ethereum makes no sense to me. Really, I own a lot of it, but it makes no sense to me why it does so much better than some of its competitors that are cheaper and seem to be more efficient, other than just brand recognition and marketing. Just brand recognition is more recognized as a brand. Here's a false headline. Mortgage refinance demand continues its free fall. Whoa, hey, as interest rates rise again. Interest rates did go up, and we're going to take a look at interest rates here in just a second. In fact, I've got the chart right here. It's been a wild day of trading in bonds. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Is this true? Not for me. Not at all. I mean, there's lots of people who want to refinance. That's for sure. Does it make sense for them to refinance? So define demand. Is demand like people who actually decide to pull the trigger on refinancing, or is it people who want to refinance? There's plenty of people who want to, but it's got to make sense. I mean, if you're saving $100 a month, $120 a month, is that worth it? We got to take a look at it. Now, I have a little trick that I use when we refinance. You get impound refund. You get at least 1, maybe 2 months off the payment. There's a couple ways to sort of redeploy that cash. I got tricks up my sleeve. You guys know this. And I can show you those. It's really just financial savviness is really all it is. And look at this. This thing has been moving since we've been talking. Okay. So let's take a look. Mortgage bond chart. Remember, we want to see mortgage bonds going higher. Right now, they are going lower, which means higher interest rates. And it's true. In recent days, we've seen here this this quick move right here was really ugly, and now we're kind of looking at this. But it's holding this little short-term deal that we're in, this downtrend. But look what happened here today. We have a gap up. So we closed right here, and then we opened the day up here, a basis point gap up. Really interesting. Typically, these gaps right here tend to get filled, which means we should expect bonds to head lower. I'm calling it right now. I know Barry doesn't have a lock alert issue today. I would say lock your loans today. If you have refinance, if you've been thinking about refinancing, get your application in, get your loan locked today. There's potentially some more pain coming here. But what's interesting is I see this gap up. Like, where did that buy demand come from? Like, how do we just gap up like that? Well, notice one thing. Sellers are aware. If you don't want your bonds anymore, you can just be patient, because the Federal Reserve still hasn't begun the taper yet. The taper hasn't started. It's coming, but it hasn't even begun. So you have a huge buyer in there. Like, if you wanted to sell your Ford stock and you knew that it was publicly disclosed and there was a big buyer who was obligated to complete their purchases of tons of billions of this stock every single month, just wait, right? Just wait for it to come up, then sell. And, that's probably what's going on here. Although I do like the shape of this. This is a nice shape. This J shape here usually is good. But we'll see. There's a lot of headwinds for bonds in general. Inflation is crushing them, and then just overall, the Fed sort of tapering, the small return that you're seeing on these bonds. It's likely that rates will go higher, and I'm preparing people for that for 2022 to see, hey, a lot of conventional rates will probably be back in the 4s. Right now, there's people still getting in the 2s. A lot of people are in the 3s. Almost no one's in the 4s unless it's investment property or really low credit score. But you're going to see that become more normal, is my guess. So I do think that the refinance rush should be more exaggerated than it is right now. People should really be trying to take advantage of this. But you know what? Hey, to each their, oh my gosh, I'm in the way. Such a high school production I have here. Brutal. All right, it's what it is, guys. We all make mistakes. So this is what I was talking about, was this area right here. And let's zoom in a little bit. Here's the gap up we were discussing that I covered up. And then, here's actually the gap up was this distance here. This is the distance where we're up today, 13 basis points, which is good. This is the downtrend that worries me, and that is, likely to hold, continued on top of the resistance that we're seeing right here. So expect that today will be a good day to lock, and who knows what happens next. Here's an interesting one I want to share with you guys. I suggest you watch this. Big land grab underway. Yes. It's not just a housing grab. There's a massive land grab that's underway right now. Maybe you've heard in the news that, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos are buying thousands and thousands of acres, hundreds of thousands of acres all over the country. This land is super crucial. In fact, recently, this week, a senator, just this week, I can't remember which one it was, but I saw the report come through, bought a bunch of cattle futures. We need land for crops, for cattle, for meat, all this stuff. It's very, very important. The richest of the rich are buying land hand over fist, not just houses. See, that's funds. Funds are buying houses for bond replacements. They want income for their cash. Really, really rich people are just buying land. And this is a really, really interesting one. So I suggest you check this one out. Being your own landlord is the only way you can insulate yourself from inflation. Well, that's true. And when you own your own home, that's essentially what you're doing, right? If you own your own home, you are your own landlord, because you're either paying your mortgage or someone else's. But what he's really saying is landlord. You need to own land, buy some land. Is that something everyone should do? Can you get financing for land? It's much more difficult. I do know some people who've done the cash out refis to go buy land in different places. I've been looking at land for some time. I've got a few spots in mind that I'm looking at. Have not pulled the trigger on anything. But I do think that if you, as a store of value, for example, you say, hey, I've got 100 grand, I've got 200 grand. I just want to stick it away somewhere generationally. You may want to look at some land. I would watch this watch this, because we don't cover land much here. We're just talking about houses. We're talking about bond replacement. We're talking about hedge funds buying houses and renting them out. There's a bigger deal going on. So if you want to see what the big boys are doing, check this link out. Okay, we talked about that one. Oh yeah. So one thing I want to mention here too, and a lot of people have been talking about Uber lately. So whenever you see insiders, executives, filing for insider buying, insiders will sell their stock for a lot of different reasons. Elon Musk sold a bunch of his Tesla stock based off a Twitter poll, which is ridiculous. There's a lot of reasons why insiders will sell. There's only one reason why they will buy. Only one. And know that although they have stated all the things that they need to state publicly, they know more intimately what's going on inside their companies, what opportunities might be around the corner. So insider buying of Uber is really bullish, in my opinion. I don't know much about Art Capital, but Uber, I like it. I like this a lot. Notice that you're not seeing any filings for people at Zillow with any insider buying going on. Cathie Wood is very smart and might be the smartest Wall Street mind out there. She's also actually a decent individual. She doesn't do the dirty tricks and stuff. She wins with just pure analysis, just pure smarts. She's got rid of all of her Zillow, pretty much. And she actually has said there might be some housing concerns. Is Zillow a barometer for what's going on in the housing market? Not at all. Not at all. The majority of the housing market is made up by people who buy their homes to live in them. Vast majority of the market. That's what you need to look at. Investors can't really crash a housing market. They can't. You think that it was investors and speculation that caused the crash last time, but it wasn't. It was Wall Street's fraudulent bond market that they created that caused the crash. Individual investors can't really do it. Could Wall Street investors at one point one day, when Wall Street owns enough homes, they could crash the market? Yes. But why would they do that? Why would they want to crash their own investment value? It's what we want to see is we want to see what people are doing who are individual families buying homes to live in. What are they doing? Are they struggling? Are they short selling? Are they unable to make their payments? Are they filing for forbearance? Listen, they're just allowing anyone in forbearance still. And the numbers are really small, like 2%. I mean, all you have to do is call. You could be totally fine, flush, never have missed a day of work for COVID. Hey, can I get forbearance? Yes. So with that wide open, gaping door for people to get forbearance, we have 2%. I mean, yeah. Not to mention many of the things we've discussed on this program before, the demand, lack of supply. Listen, the last thing I'm worried about is the real estate market. However, there may be some companies involved in the real estate market, some companies that have never really made profit, although they may provide valuable services like Zillow or Redfin. I think Redfin is far superior. Like, they really shouldn't even be in the same conversation. That's how much better Redfin is. But still not really a very profitable company. I don't know if Redfin has actually made an annual profit before for a calendar year. Zillow has, but much smaller organization. Maybe some of these different iBuyer, type technology, real estate technology companies could be at risk because of a declining volume, a shrinking of the pie. That is something that could happen with this low inventory scenario as you sort of shake out a lot of what's out there. I've seen a lot of the properties that we've gotten into contract recently have had issues. A lot of them have. So it feels like, have we got to the bottom of the barrel? Like, is this all that's left? New, nice houses are still going to get those. We just had one we missed out on, 19 offers. So when you get that cherry home, there's so much demand for it, so much. If you walk right into escrow, you're probably not getting a cherry house right now. So demand is through the roof. Quality inventory is at an all-time low, lowest I've ever seen, lowest ever. And we still have people who are very smart saying things like, hey, housing market concerns. Okay, listen, Zillow's attempt to flip houses was terrible from the beginning. The plan which they executed was awful. The market is super hot and it still didn't work. Imagine if the market had actually softened. They would have got murdered. You think that, losing 30, 40% on the stock was a murder? No. That thing could have got to single digits. So they actually dodged a bullet because they happened to do it, just got lucky that they did it at the right time. But their terrible strategy of overpaying for homes and trying to resell them in a short period of time was never going to work. It was never going to work. So I don't know why someone as smart as Kathy Wood got behind Zillow during that time frame, and if they didn't fully understand what it was that they were trying to execute, but clearly a mistake. All right, so we're seeing here up 13 basis points. Still look like pretty good. Lock. Today is a lock day. Lock your loans. If I'm wrong, so be it. But I think if you can lock today, I expect to see more pressure on bonds. And but it would be even bullish. Would just be like sideways for us. Like if we could just stay in this lane right here for a little while and go sideways, that'd be good. If we could establish sort of a new norm, give us something to catapult from, that would be helpful. Because remember, there is a small rug pull coming from the Federal Reserve. And although it may not seem like a lot, we do have a big buyer who's starting to scale out of their big purchases. And I think that will ultimately, look at that drop. We just lost 5 basis points in 2 seconds. It will ultimately cause more downward pressure on bonds. All right, guys. Sorry for the poor production value today. What's up, Benny? How you doing, brother? Doing my best, my friend. Doing my best. I appreciate you. Yes, feel free to share this video, comment, like, subscribe, all the things. And of course, if you have questions, you want to buy, you want to refi, give me a call, text, shoot me an email. That's what I'm here for. Here to help answer those questions, help you figure out a strategy, help you pay the least amount possible to own your home and your investment properties. That is what I am here for. All right, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.